Many years ago, I was with one of my daughters as she completed a lengthy program in the wilderness to help her deal more effectively with some of her teenage dilemmas. The last thing the counselor at the wilderness camp said to her was, "Remember at all times that what you think and what you do affects other people." This is true even beyond the impact we have on our friends, family, neighbors, and coworkers. I believe that we impact all of humanity. Thus, as you listen to this section, keep in mind that what you think and do affects all other people. In the book I mentioned earlier, Power versus Force by Dr. David Hawkins, he writes, quote, "In this interconnected universe, every improvement we make in our private world improves the world at large for everyone. We all float on the collective level of consciousness of mankind, so that any increment we add comes back to us. We all add to our common buoyancy by our efforts to benefit life. It is a scientific fact that what is good for you is good for me," unquote. Dr. Hawkins has backed up his remarks and conclusions with 29 years of hard research, which I invite you to examine if you're so inclined. I'll briefly summarize some of these conclusions and how they relate to the impact you have on others when you're connected to intention. In essence, every single person, as well as large groups of people, can be calibrated for their energy levels. Generally speaking, low-energy people cannot distinguish truth from a falsehood. They can be told how to think, who to hate, who to kill, and they can be herded into a groupthink mentality based on such trivial details as what side of the river they were born on, what their parents and their grandparents believed, the shape of their eyes, and hundreds of other factors having to do with appearance and total identification with their material world. Hawkins tells us that approximately 87% of humanity calibrates at a collective energy level that weakens them. The higher up the ladder of frequency vibration, the fewer people there are in those high levels. The highest levels are represented by the truly great persons who originated spiritual patterns that multitudes have followed throughout the ages. They're associated with divinity, and they set in motion attractor energy fields that influence all of humankind. Just below the energy level of pure enlightenment are the energy levels associated with the experience designated as transcendence, or self-realization, or even God consciousness. Here's where those who are called saintly reside. Just below this level is the place of pure joy, and the hallmark of this state is compassion. Those who attain this level have more of a desire to use their consciousness for the benefit of life rather than for particular individuals. Below these supremely high levels, which few ever attain in a permanent way, are the levels of unconditional love, kindness, acceptance of everyone, beauty appreciation, and on a more limited but nonetheless profound level, all of the seven faces of intention. Below the levels of energy that strengthen us are the low energy levels of anger and fear and grief, apathy, guilt, hatred, judgment, and shame, all of which weaken and impact us in such a way as to inhibit our connection to the universal energy level of intention. What I'd like you to do here is to take a leap of faith with me while I present a few of the conclusions that Dr. Hawkins came to in his second book called The Eye of the Eye. Dr. Hawkins suggests that it's crucial for each of us to be aware of the significance of raising our frequency of vibration to the level where we begin to match up with the energy of the universal source, or in other words, make our connection to the power of intention. One of the most fascinating aspects of this line of research is the idea of counterbalancing. High-energy people counterbalance the negative effects of low-energy people, but it doesn't happen on a one-to-one basis because of that 87% of humanity that's in the lower weakening frequencies. One person connected to intention, as I've described it here in this book, can have an enormous impact on many people in the lower energy patterns. The higher up the scale you move toward actually being the light of enlightenment and knowing God consciousness, the more negatively vibrating energies you can counterbalance. One individual, he says, who lives and vibrates to the energy of optimism and a willingness to be non-judgmental of others will counterbalance the negativity of 90,000 individuals who calibrate at the lower weakening levels. Also, one individual who lives and vibrates to the energy of pure love and reverence for all of life will counterbalance the negativity of 750,000 individuals who calibrate at the lower weakening levels. One individual who lives and vibrates to the energy of illumination, bliss, and infinite peace will counterbalance the negativity of 10 million people who calibrate at the lower weakening levels. and he suggests that there are approximately 22 such sages alive today. And finally, one individual who lives and vibrates to the energy of grace, pure spirit, beyond the body, in a world of non-duality or complete oneness, will counterbalance the negativity of 70 million people who calibrate at the lower weakening levels. There are approximately 10 such sages alive today. And finally, here are two compelling statistics offered by Dr. Hawkins in his 29-year study on the hidden determinants of human behavior. One, and listen to this carefully, one single avatar living at the highest level of consciousness in this period of history to whom the title Lord is appropriate, such as Lord Krishna, Lord Buddha, and Lord Jesus Christ, would counterbalance the collective negativity of all of mankind in today's world. And secondly, the negativity of the entire human population would self-destruct were it not for the counteracting effects of these higher energy fields. This is very important information for you to be aware of, that just raising your energy level can impact those around you in a profound way in this world, and we need more and more people to connect to intention. The implications of these figures are immense for discovering ways of improving human consciousness and raising ourselves to the place where we match up with the same energy of intention from which we were all intended. By raising your own frequency of vibration just slightly to a place where you regularly practice kindness, love, and receptivity, and where you see beauty and the endless potential of good in others as well as yourself, you counterbalance 90,000 people somewhere on this planet who are living in the low energy fields of shame, anger, hatred, guilt, despair, depression, and so on. With these words, Mahatma Gandhi sums up this chapter on how we can impact the world by staying connected to that which intended us here in the first place. Quote, "We must be the change we wish to see in the world. By being it, we connect to the eternal part of us that originates in infinity.